So in this video I'm going to be talking about Warlord. The first part of this video was cut because I was actually talking for too long, so I'm just going to reiterate what I talked about before this second part of the video talks. I'm going to be talking about Warlord's build here and why you have to spec it for Warlord. You have to spec in 3 points here, so you're doing 35% more damage for your basics and elites, and you want your ability up so the balance bar can't be destroyed for the units that you're not possessing. The reason you want that is because Ruby provides a 23% damage reduction with her aura. So to counter out Ruby's damage that she provides, max damage reduction, sorry, is 24%, not 23. So to counter that, you have to put damage into your units here, or you're not going to be able to do anything if they're running Ruby. And honestly, when you see a Ruby as Warlord, it's going to be very hard to deal with the survivors. Also, I talk about lingering gas, how that affects warriors mostly, and you don't want to be running a full warrior team because of this ability. If this is maxed out, she's going to be able to do tons of damage to the book. I mean, you're going to be coughing while you're trying to hit her. I have this maxed out, that way I could stay in the units longer, and I could summon more units before I actually run out of Infernal Energy. When I P5 her, I'm going to get 3 points here, 1 point here, and then 1 point here. And that would be my perfect build for Warlord. That way I could stay in boss longer, damage book more, my ability comes back more, which is her whole kit, bad influence, and my units are going to be able to get hits, healed by that 20% increase as well. So support Ash is very good. I'm going to be talking about every single character in this video, and the reason I'm doing that I'm going to talk about later. Support Ash is very good against Warlord because if Warlord uses the ability, it doesn't matter because you're not supposed to be doing finishes with Support Ash. You need to be doing heavy attacks and dodging and marking the possessed units. That way you're doing 20% more damage to the marked target, the hunter, and the hunter's getting healed by 10% for every hit of damage she does. So it's 10% of your damage. So you want to be doing tons of damage this time. That way you're getting tons of heals. You know, sometimes you could run Support Ash, Ruby Arthur, and then run a Hunter as well. That way the Support Ash is getting tons of heals. But I talk about later what's the best team comp. So yep, right now the second part of the video is going to start and talk about Cheryl. Henrietta is all about doing damage to your team. So Cheryl's very good at this. Well, she reduces the fear, so that blood splatter that puts fear on your survivors is going to be get negated by Cheryl drinking a Shimp and healing all that damage that you just did. Pablo's okay as well. You know, he's providing amulets to the team so you don't go down into the health, but it requires you to be like running a full warrior team if that's what you want to do. And I explain why that's bad later on. David is not very good against Warlord. As you saw in my build, like she'll have enough Infernal Energy to really keep basic possessed for a while, even with the flame down. You can depossess boss, but you know, you probably kill boss before she gets depossessed anyways. You do more damage than the damage reduction, so you're still going to be burning through Shimps a lot faster. So I feel like David is not very good against Warlord, which is surprising. Blacksmith is good because he has a lot of health and damage reduction in himself. And balance, he does a lot of balance bar, and that's what you want to do against Warlord is balance bar to the possessed unit, because if he uses his ability, you can't damage the balance bar for the units that are in the aura of the ability. Hunter Ash, double barrel, does a lot of balance bar. Does a lot of damage, very good. Can depossess basics, good as well. Ed's very good because if you have traps 3, you could just be disarming all those traps 3, so there's not a lot of elites on the field, and his ability is going to be countered due to that, so he's only going to be able to get 2 basic portals and an elite portal, and you could just clear that out very easily. Kelly, Kelly's good because she can do a lot of damage when she dodges and puts on bleed. The only time I would say like Kelly isn't the best hunter out of them all, because if she gets vomited on, so it's like RNG. Really, Warlord's whole kit is based off RNG, which is why she feels really bad. But if she gets vomited on while she's using her ability, like she can't dodge, yes, she's still applying the bleed, but she can't move, so she can get hit for 4 seconds, which is not a long time. Amanda, probably one of the best hunters. The units have the most health, so you could use a boomstick, fire off 1 shot, use your ability so you can have that last bullet to do 20% more damage with a boomstick. You're going to be doing a ton with last chance. Warriors, you know, Scotty's good. They're all good, right? I don't really play warrior. You can't really do finishers to get your shields back if Warlord's using her ability, but Shield Blast will be damaging all the units, so that's good. Scotty can do focus damage on the possessed unit while dealing damage to the units around. Very good. Henry can use his ability to res teammates that go down while destroying balance bar with the sledgehammer. Very good. Mia, concentrated, focused damage on the possessed units. Very good. Now let's talk about Leader Ash. I'll talk about like the perfect team against Warlord at the end of this video. I'm just talking about every single character, and then I'm going to talk about why I'm talking about every single character. So Leader Ash is very good as well. You know, you're not going to be able to get fear on survivors. If he's doing chain finishers, he's not going to be able to do chain finishers while you have your ability up, but he could still use his ability to knock back the units and affect the balance bar of the possessed units. So that's okay. It's still useful even though it's not the best against Warlord. But the fear resistance he provides and the damage increase he provides is okay. It's not the best out of all the leaders, but it's still viable. And this is going to be kind of my point at the end. Annie, once again, very good against Warlord because the role that provides the most damage is Hunters. Right? So you're boosting Hunter damage, but you could also be supporting the Warriors with Balance Bar. So if you have a Henry that's spec'd into Balance Bar, that's good. You have a Sky that's spec'd into Balance Bar, Dismemberment, and overall damage, that's good. You know, it's going to work well with Annie. And Annie is definitely maybe the best leader. I would say she's the best. If your team knows how to dodge, and your team knows how to deal damage and dodge at the same time, Annie's the best leader. But if your team doesn't really know how to dodge properly, then Ruby's better. Arthur is also going to be good as well. You know, very good teamed with Scotty. I don't think Arthur and Warrior Ash is a very good team comp, because to keep Arthur's ability going, you need to do finishers, and so does Warrior Ash. And when he has a shield and does shield blast, it affects the units around you, and you're not going to be able to do finishers because of it. So I don't like when I use Arthur. I don't like going against Warrior Ash. Arthur is good with Henry because Henry's all about survivability and balance bar, so Arthur provides the damage that Henry needs as well. So then he's an all-round good character. Me as well, good with Arthur. Increases that bleed damage and damage overall. Ruby, of course, good with any role. Don't have to talk anything about Ruby, really. And Brock. Yeah, Brock is like the the worst version of Henry. You can go Brock and go Warrior Ash, Hunter Ash, and Support Ash. That way you get that damage reduction and get range and melee increase, which will help Support Ash as well. So, now that I went over every character, I'm going to tell you the reason why. This is why Warlord is bad, because you can run any team comp against Warlord and win. She has the only thing in her kit for survivability of the possessed unit and the units around is a lot of health, right? And that's it. That's how the units for Warlord survive. They have tons of health. That's easily countered with your build, which every person has the same build, which is just straight damage, right? Ball, you know, units, this is why he used basics for ball, is because you use fury and you could just hit survivors very fast, so they're not able to really do anything to you. Plague has the same thing. It has mobility and constant just harassment of survivors. There's no attack strings you have to do. You can just continuously attack a survivor. Puppeteer, you know, has mobility, has the explosions, has the AI hitting you, tons of units on the field, and just tons of maneuverability. And Necromancer has the shields, has tons of units as well, and has Flautist, which provides damage reduction, 33% at P1, 30% at, 0 prestige. So Warlord has nothing really going for her survivability. And this is why survivors kind of like to go against Warlord, is because they don't have to worry about anything else. They don't have to worry about getting possessed because of Puppeteer, or worry about controlling their fear with Schemer, or worry about preserving their dodges so they don't get hit by Plaguebringer's abilities. Not to mention, Plague has, elites don't take less melee damage. And, Puppeteer's elites take less range damage. So you also have that going for that. So there's certain roles you have to go against Puppeteer. You have to go 2 warriors and a hunter, just so you could deal with Puppeteer. And this, you have to go for Flautist if you really want to take down the units, or it's going to take too many bullets and you're going to be taking too much damage, because it's also, what is this, 75? I think it's a crazy number. 75% damage increase. But the only thing that Warlord has is just kind of like her ability that lasts like 10 seconds. It doesn't last that long. So, like, the way to count, you could use any character and you'd still be okay. The only thing I wouldn't do is run, like, Blacksmith, 2 warriors, and an Arthur. And the reason I wouldn't do that is for book phase, right? If you have Henrietta, and she just summons all her units and then farts, you're not going to be able to do the melee damage, because you're going to be coughing as you're trying to hit her. So she's going to get a lot of hits on books. So this is the only reason I wouldn't run a lot of warriors, just only warriors. Like just one hunter. And that's kind of like why the meta was, in the beginning, when this game first released, was 2 warriors, a hunter, and a support. And the hunter was just to deal with the gas. Like deal with Henrietta. And the same thing with Puppeteer, right? It's just 2 warriors. Like you see this in every team comp. When the first 3 demons came out, it was 2 warriors, a hunter, and a support. Leaders, were severely bad. Their Pink F's upgrades were awful. And it's the same thing with Necromancer, right? Necromancer was 2 warriors, a hunter, and support. But nowadays, I think against Necromancer, you need 2 hunters and a warrior and support instead. Same with Plague. So Warlord's attack strings are very slow, very easily dodged. And this makes it kind of hard to hit survivors with them. You have to bait out dodges. You have to do everything in your power kind to like waste a survivor's dodge. The more units you have on the field, the easier that's going to be with your ability, because they're going to get trapped and not be able to do finishers. And they're going to try and damage the units around to kind of chain those immortality frames, but they're not going to have a chance because they're using your ability. But that ability doesn't last long. And once that ability is gone, then they can go back to chaining finishers. And this is why support Ash is good. So, what is the best team comp? The best team comp against Warlord is Ruby, Amanda, Annie, and support Ash. Now, you can make the argument that Hunter Ash is better than Amanda, and I could agree with you in that team comp. Right? He could depossess the basic that's hitting Book. And he also does more balance bar with the double barrel. I agree. The reason I say Amanda is better than Hunter Ash is because she has the last bullet, and she does 20% more damage. You could spec her for. She does the most damage out of all the hunters, potentially. So in this instance, since Warlord's whole defense kit goes around how much health the units have, you want to deal a lot of damage to health. So in this way, I feel Amanda is better. So what do you do to increase that damage for Amanda, right? She's a ranged character, so you go Annie. Annie helps with balance bar as well, so no matter if you're using the boomstick with Amanda, you're going to be doing more balance bar with that as well. And then, since Warlord does a lot of damage to health, how do you counter that? Well, you run a Ruby, because now they're taking 23% less damage. So even when you do get hit, it's negated completely by Ruby. As you see here, you have to spec into 3 points here just to counter out Ruby's damage reduction, right? Because if you spec in 2, you're still not going to be breaking that 23% damage reduction she provides. So Annie, Ruby to help with the Amanda, and the support Ash, right? He's going to be doing more melee damage because of the Ruby, right? And he's going to be able to mark the target. And it's going to be very easy to mark targets because there's no shields blocking the possessed unit. There's nothing really blocking the unit from getting headshots. So you could just use a pistol and then go back to heavy hits, healing the team. Not to mention, the Amanda is going to get healed from the headshots there, and it's going to last 5 seconds here. You're going to be able to do 20% more damage, and 10 of that damage is going to be restored as health. So if you're doing a ton of damage, you're going to get tons of heals just by hitting the marked targets with Amanda. So you have all this healing gain done for your squishiest character, and she has damage reduction. Not to mention, Annie is going to be getting healed from when she uses her ability. So the weapons I would want this team to use, right, is support Ash would be using a pistol, revolver. He could be even using a shotgun for easier headshots. He doesn't really want to aim. He just wants to aim and like once, count 5 seconds as he's doing heavies, and then shoot again for the head. Or he could be using a special like nail gun. Ruby, I always think she should be running a grenade launcher. And that grenade launcher damage is just going to help with area effect damage. Because I want her to be spec'd as an area effect character. Right? She uses her ability, her aura blast, that'll damage the units around her, killing them or just affecting their balance bar and reducing a lot of their health, while the grenade launcher is doing area effect damage as well. That grenade launcher is doing 20% more damage because of one of her abilities, which is Quick Study, and that goes up to 20% here. Yep, extra damage 1%, and the max Quick Study boost is 20%. I'm not expecting the headshot damage also, that's why I'll also use a grenade launcher. And he's going to boost that grenade launcher damage, and when she uses her ability as well, it's increased as well, so that's going to be, you're going to be killing your units with the grenade launcher with Ruby. Annie, I would go Revolver or Blunderbuss. She doesn't have Last Shot or Last Word, whatever it's called. But this is my Annie build. The last point I want to put into here or here. As you can see, I kind of have her tougher than hell, so that Ruby is going to put her at 33% damage reduction, so it's going to be even harder to kill her. Her P5 ability is amazing. So with Ruby, this cooldown is even reduced even further from 40%. Not to mention I have this on, which takes off like 3 seconds. I know it's just 3 seconds, but holy hell, like, you could probably use this ability 4 times during that phase. And then just all this damage, like, her whole kit is perfect. This is why, you know, demons hate Annie. So, every part of this team comp is just so much damage being done. And that's how you want to counter Warlord, right? And I'm going to do something that I normally don't do, and I'm going to post a gameplay after this of me playing Warlord and me just like my units just dying so quickly, and they didn't even have an Annie Ruby, they had a Leader Ash, and the Leader Ash was providing enough of a damage boost, and I think Leader Ash is one of the worst leaders. I'm going to be P5 and very soon I'm going to do a video about why he's the worst. One of the worst leaders, and he was still providing enough of damage boost for Amanda to really just melt through my units. It was like she was doing 2 shots to my units, and they were dead. Yes, she had a legendary boomstick, but it was just so crazy how much damage she was doing to me. And this is kind of why it's very frustrating to play Warlord, because you have all this health and yet your units are dying so quickly. It's like, what am I doing here? Like, survivors are too strong. My one survivability is being heavily countered by survivors, and my attack strings are so predictable that it's easy to dodge, and if they wanted to, they could just hop into a car or hop through railings and windows. Like, you just feel so helpless as Warlord. I meme and joke around saying that Warlord's the best demon, but she's the best example of why a demon feels so weak. Is because, like, all the flaws that really come into playing demon are very noticeable when you play her. Like, you can counter window hopping with Plague, sort of, and rail hopping. You know, you just continuously hit, or you could trap him with Cauldron, or trap him with proxy traps, with Schemers. Like, each demon has something that can really help. Like, Puppeteer, you could go with running heavies and just running heavy somebody to death. Necro, the boss has a 8 attack string, which is good. Warlord does have, the elites do have an attack string of 8 hits as well, but you really just have to like dodge twice or dodge forward to really get out of the attack string. So it's very easily countered. You just need to understand the attack string and how it works. But you know, Necro also has Flautist up. The real way to kind of counter out Necromancer is just run away out of the area of Flautist, and you'll be fine. The only time like Flautist is kind of like really powerful is on point, like when they're doing dagger and pages, because they have to stay on dagger and pages, so they're forced to deal with Flautist. And that's the same thing with book phase, right? They have to deal with Flautist during book phase. Those are the only times they really have to deal with Flautist. Because if you place Flautist between when they're getting the map pieces, you know, as long as the Flautist isn't near the map piece, like, they don't really have to deal with Flautist. So, is there a way for Saber to tweak Warlord? A lot of people say that, you know, they should bring vomit canceling back, but I don't think that's the way either. Vomit canceling is very powerful. If they brought vomit canceling back, they would have to reduce the time a survivor can't dodge. And that would just negate vomit canceling in general. I think what would be good, maybe, if the basics and the boss did the blood splatter so that it would increase fear on the survivors no matter what you hit. And the reason I say that is because that way it can give you possessions. That way it'll give you more levels. And you could deal more damage and be able to stay in the units longer and faster. I think that's the only real way. You could, if from Tweaker Kit, instead of like adding something new, you know, if they wanted to add something new, that would be kind of hard. Like, you would have to come up with a complete new idea and mechanic. And I don't really see that. Like, you could add... So, Plague has, you know, the elites run around and do, like, a corrosive blast, where they run forward and, like, disappear and do damage. It would be kind of cool if, like, the elites, maybe, when they're doing the run, before they do the slam, when they're running, they do a little bit of damage if they run into survivors. Like a knockdown effect. That'd be cool. So it's like kind of vomit, like the survivor will get knocked down and be stunned for a little bit. Maybe that'd be cool. For boss, what can you do for her? She has the fart. The grab doesn't do that much damage, you know? People normally just use the grab and then fart cancel out of it once they get. So like during book phase, they'll grab the hunter, and then the other survivors will hit the boss and they'll fart, so that the hunter won't be able to shoot her while she's damaged book. And that's the only real reason you'd use the grab on her. That, and it's funny. Let's see. It'd be cool if the boss had a second form. So, in the TV show and movie, she had like that long head. So it'd be cool if she had that second form, and it would increases the range of her attacks. You know, like she would attack with her head and stuff. That would be cool. But they would have to completely change the coding for all this kind of stuff, and I don't think Saber would ever do that kind of thing. So this is why kind of people like don't like to play Demons, because of Warlord and how it feels playing Warlord. You just feel completely like hopeless. Like when I see a Ruby on a team and I'm playing Warlord, I'm like, holy shit, I'm not going to be able to do anything here. This is going to be a book game. I'm not going to be able to deal with Ruby. I'm going to deal with the survivors that aren't in Ruby's aura. And usually that's what happens. When a survivor isn't near Ruby, I'm able to down a survivor with Warlord. So good Ruby players should be sticking with their team, but that's kind of the problem as a leader, is that your aura is only so big, you know? So that's why for Leader Ash, like, the thing with Leader Ash is he provides fear reduction. And I really I think about putting points into this, but like going this way. Like going, I really think about going this way because that way they still get my aura, even if they're not in it. But usually when we're on point, like, because the point of Leader Ash is before you get found, right? You keep everybody's fear down. And so I want something like this. So my aura is as big as possible. And then if they leave the aura, you know, they'll be fine. But when it comes to point, when it comes to book phase, like, you need the size here and the Master Influence so you can do him as much damage. Because his damage increase that he provides is just not good enough. Right? You have to get it to P1 just to get 20%. 20%. When Annie provides a 25% at base for range. Arthur provides 25% base. And that's not before they even use their ability. Like, this is why I think Leader's Ash ability is pointless, because Annie does better with Balance Bar. You know, and his aura doesn't do anything to increase damage for his team, which is what an ability for a leader should do. So if they were to change his ability, I would change it to, like, show up and blow up. It does this, but it also provides fear reduction for a certain amount of time. And so there's a 10-second period of where you just don't take that much fear damage. Right? Because when you're using Leader Ash, you're trying to do finishers, so you're providing that fear reduction, as much fear reduction to your team as possible. So I know I'm going on like a huge rant here about how this game is, basically, and that's kind of why I was waiting to post this video, is because Warlord really shows what the problems are with this game. Because of how her whole kit is spec'd. So I'm going to show some gameplay now of me playing Warlord, and I know I should be using a Survivor video, probably, kind of show the counter, but I kind of just want to show, like, how Warlord is played. You kind of get to, an idea of what kind of survivors you should run against Warlord with this video, and why I was struggling. So, yeah. Stick around and enjoy the video. So, this is the Warlord gameplay I'm talking about. Obviously, I'm not P5 Warlord. In this video, I don't have the build that I showed previously. It was a boss elite build, so I maximized damage for boss, and I maximized damage for my elites. So you're going to see my basics die very fast. And to be honest, with most demons, you want to be using the elites the most, because the cooldown reduction for their portals are faster, so you can be using them more frequently. But I thought, you know, I like the elites because they have a higher attack string than the basics. They put fear on the survivors, so I think it'd be better to use this unit more than basics. And I want to have fun with boss. I like the fart ability, I like the grab ability, I like the slam, I like the heavy attacks. So let's go with the boss elite build. And it's kind of, because I went with this build, you kind of see the weaknesses of Warlord when you're going up against a team. Now, they did not have a Ruby. They actually had a Leader Ash, which provides the least amount of damage increase to the team. And they're still able to just melt through my units. So think if they had like an Annie, or an Arthur, or a Ruby, you know? they would be providing so much damage increase to the rest of the team that I would have been like two shot. So the only thing I would really change in their team comp, I think the Scotty and Amanda are very good. The Cheryl's very good too. Like I said, any support would be good, but honestly, I would go more with I would go with a support Ash. That way, you're giving that 20% damage increase to the hunter, and you're getting tons of heals with your heavies. And but this is a very good team comp. Cher's going to really negate all the damage if I get any damage on them. Leader Ash, once again, um, is going to be helping them not get possessed. But Warlord's whole build isn't really based on possessing survivors, so it's not really necessary. As you can see, Scotty's fear is still going up, even though they have a Leader Ash. And this is why I don't think Leader Ash is good. Maybe the Scotty isn't in his aura, but that's another point. You have to be in his aura to really get the benefit from the fear resistance. And as you can see, his fear just keeps going up at a very steadily pace. So he's going to need a fire anyways. So why go Leader Ash if you are dependent on fire still? Like a support Ash would have been better because you could just lower the Scotty's fear. This is why I think support Ash is just a better version of Leader Ash, and it's in the support class. So if you're gonna go leader, like to be honest, it would be better to go to Cheryl and support Ash than a Leader Ash, in my opinion. That's how like little I think Leader Ash does, and two supports is never a good thing to run. Like you could still get the win with two supports, so don't get me wrong, but you're still going to need to rush the objective, and that's my point. You need to rush the objective with Leader Ash. So right now, I like to set up with Warlord. That's kind of how I like to play. When I play Survivor, I don't like to be rushed, so I kind of give the same courtesy. I want trap threes here, and then I'm going to consider what I'm going to do from there. And as you see, I didn't spec into trap threes. I thought I did when I was playing. And I think to myself, oh no, what did I do? So I completely mess up here. Which is fine. It's like, it's okay. You know, like, I'm going to see them melt through my units anyways. So trap threes wouldn't help me anyways. And they're really not shooting right now because my basics, like I said, I have no health in my basics. And I have no balance bar in my basics. So they're able to just melee through them. And that's when I realized I didn't have trap 3. I was like, oh no. Now I gotta... Hopefully they have to come here for Shems, but I just messed up big time. I just want to trap out this area because I want them, like, if they do come for Shems, after pages, they're going to have to come here. I mean, they could go to Pain Manor, but if I was them, I would come here instead. Because they have railings here, they have windows they can hop through. Like, it's not that hard to really kind of survive in Fishing Village. If the Dark Ones were here, then I could use these traps to my advantage, but they're on the outskirts of Fishing Village. So I could just, you know, kill everything here and then start the Dark Ones. So I'm still just kind of trap out the area. They have all the map pieces now. I know they're going to start Dagger first because it's the furthest one from Dark ones. So I'm just taking my time. Like I said, I'm not really trying to rush them. And I feel as like if I'm like level 10, I'm in a good spot with Warlord. Like if I was to put pressure on him, my whole goal would to get to level 10 before they start the objective anyways. So I'm making good timing here. So I decided to like head over to Dagger just to see if they're close by and start to trap out this area as well. Because there's a lot of chests that spawn at Lucky Valley. So I see that they've been getting good RNG with these chests, but I don't know what they have yet because I haven't run past them. I know this is kind of like boring, like to watch like, oh, you're just setting traps and stuff. But you know, as demon, this is kind of like how you not need to play. Like you could be, it's either this, and this is kind of why demons like rush survivors, because if they weren't rushing survivors, this is the kind of gameplay they would have. It's literally just us running around setting traps, and it's kind of boring uh, to watch. Like for me, it's fine. I kind of just like, okay, if they come in this direction, this is how I'm going to approach the situation with the traps, and this is how I'm going to attack them from this angle, and these kind of thoughts. So for me, it's not a little boring. As you can see, I put my proxies there. I want my Inferno Energy a little bit back here, so I want that. So then I'm going to put my Elite Portal here, and I'm going to kind of try and lead them in that direction with my units. That way they set off those proxies, and that way I have a ton of units when I use my ability. So I'm waiting for my cooldowns to come back. I kind of possess something here, so they don't run too close to those proxy portals. And as you see, like my units are dying super fast, but I'm not expecting basics, like I said. They're probably wondering, like, why am I not summoning anything here? Um, so I'm gonna start summoning everything I have here, and as I want to be hitting him into those proxies, and but they're not kind of like coming towards me, so I gotta like kind of hit him. And as you see, my boss is just dead already. And let's see how many hits I get off here. At first, I don't know what they have, but look, my health just gets drained after like 3 hits, and I have like full health and full things into. So as you can see, I was trying to figure out like what was going on there, and I realized now that it's not the Scotty that's doing the damage to me, it's the Amanda. So I need to position myself that I am not like use the warrior as a shield for myself. So that's why I'm attacking Scotty as much as possible. That way he's like body is kind of blocking me. But my units are dying so fast that I'm, you know, my cooldowns aren't even coming back here. So now I'm deciding to go for the Amanda. And as you can see, I'm just dying way too fast. If I'm not focusing the Amanda or I'm focusing the Scotty. I don't really have like my cooldowns, like I said, and my units are just dying way too fast. I'm not expecting the basics here. As you saw, the Amanda was behind the Scotty, so she wasn't getting the hits on me that she needed. Now, normally in this situation as a demon, you need to find the weakest link here and focus the weakest link so that they waste as much gems as possible. The Scotty is taking quite a bit of damage, but I wouldn't say he's the weakest link. And even if he was the weakest link, the Amanda is doing so much damage to me that I can't really do the damage on the Scotty and down him. So he has like no reason to really dodge either. So now I realize I need to put pressure on them here. And I kind of want to trap them in basement with the basics, but as you see, you can't place basics on the stairs. Which they should change that. You should be able to summon a portal on the stairs. So I summon Boss here because I want to grab her so that she doesn't have to do... Yeah, so she can't do damage on me. And I could do attacks here. So the Amanda's doing a ton of damage to me here, and I'm dead. I was not in boss for a very long time. After this game, I tuned into Burrito stream just to see what he was saying, and he said it was very satisfying to play Amanda in this game because of, you know, just the free range she had of dealing damage to my units. And I agree, like she could just pop her ability and then just be doing a ton of damage. It's a lot of fun as Survivor. And as Demon, I didn't care about winning here. But if I did care about winning, I could totally see why Demons would be like, what the hell? Like get frustrated, be like, what the hell? Like I can't do anything here. You know, I summoned boss the boss that has the most health in the game, and he's died so fast. Even my elites, I can't even do a full attack screen. It's a lot, but like I was able to do a lot there. I did like 5 attacks. That's pretty good. But those are the tankiest units in the game, and they're still dying. So this is kind of why I don't like Leader Ash. You see, this guy is already max fear. Yes, he wasn't in the Leader's Ash aura, but that's exactly my point. You need to be continuously in Leader Ash's aura to be effective. When every other like damage character, leader, the only time you need to be in the aura is when you're dealing damage to the possessed unit, and that's during the points. So Leader Ash is supposed to be this kind of leader where you stick around your team in between points and on point. And that's just not possible as a leader. Now that Leader Ash is very good with his dodges, but thank God, and this is just kind of needed as elites. The elites have a good attack string, so you can go through the 4 dodges that the leader has. But once again, Ruby just would have been overall better. Annie would have been better. Arthur could have been better. Like, I really think Leader Ash is just... You need to be around your teammates at all times with Leader Ash to be effective when the other leaders don't have that problem. So as you can see, I have lingering gas there and more damage with the gas, but I'm gonna die. Yeah, I just die super fast. So like I said, I have to use my elites here just to really do anything. But unfortunately, you see how when the mana's not here, I'm able to actually do something. But yeah, I just didn't do the attack string properly there. Like I said, I wanted to go with the elite here, and I wanted down this Amanda because she's the one that does the most damage here. But they're very good, and they're trying to make me fall down here, and they have like a good chance of that happening because I am on controller. So a little bit of mind gain happens there, and then she gets vomited on. So I do heavies here, and then go for the big swing. But you can't stay in the elites for that long. So I'm trying to just prevent this res so I can get the levels. But I possessed the car instead of the basic. So that ended up being a problem. Because I wasted too much Inferno energy possessing the car instead. He's a legendary pistol too. But, I mean, that's not very useful for... Yeah. Unfortunate. They get the res. So... That's fine, they have to waste a champ here. But they haven't even looted terminal for Shemps. So they have the Shemps here, and they have Shemps at Fishing Village if they need. So I kind of want to set up here. I'm going to use all my summons, and then summon boss. Nope, I don't summon boss. I possess the elite instead. I think it's because I saw all my units dying so quickly. So then I summoned boss. It was a bad boss summon because there's no units to really help me here. Like I said, I wanted to go for the grab there on the hunter, so she's not doing as much damage, but my boss is so slow. So you see, this is kind of where Leader Ash comes in with the fear resistance. The tree doesn't maximize the fear on the Amanda, so I can't really utilize the possession on her. So they're doing a very good job on like maintaining Amanda's fear resistance, but you have to be spec'd into fear resistance with Amanda. So you can't just rely on just Leader Ash and then spec into just straight damage with Hunter. And this is another reason why I think Leader Ash is just a bad leader. Because to benefit from him, you have to be spec'd into fear resistance with your character anyways. So I thought I was going to get the down on this guy, so I'm trying to put a lot of pressure here, but the balance bar gets rocked and I die. And they get the shimps off on him. His fears, his health is a little bit low, but they heal him again there, so... I decided to put all my points at the boss here. And now I gotta put pressure on them again. Because I know they didn't loot terminal yet. And I want them to come to Fishing Village to run into the traps there so I can possess elites for, just a little bit of Inferno energy instead of summoning them. And then I want to put proxy portals here. They may set these off, but that's fine. I'm not really worried about that because my cooldowns will be back. And I'll save my cooldowns for book phase. So I see them in a car, so they probably already got all the ships from terminal and they're ready to drive over here. So as you can see, the Scotty has a purple axe, and the Amanda has a legendary broomstick, and the leader Ash can have whatever he wants. I'm not really worried about him, but you know, a purple lumberjack axe and a legendary broomstick, I'm gonna be in for a rough time here. So I use my ability here, and I don't want them to light this fire. Not that they need it. But just in case, because they are going to get more in fear here. And they do set off the portals here. The proxy portals. Which is working out in my favor a little bit. But my units are still dying pretty fast here. Like I said, I'm expecting to elites, not basics, so that's why I'm possessing a lot more elites than I am basics. Now, I'm focusing this leader Ash because his health is lower than the rest here, and I may get the down here. I get the down, but you're just going to watch my health get melted. And I can't focus on just one survivor. I have to focus the survivor that's trying to go for the res here. And as soon as I focus a different one, yeah, as you can see there, perfect. They did that perfectly. The only thing that would have prevented that res is if the Dark Ones did the area effect damage this attack. And I tried to place proxies, but that didn't work out for me. And it kind of almost screwed me here. So I summon everything I can, and then summon boss. I'm using my ability so that ability that he just did nothing to my bounce bar and the bounce bar of the units around. And as you see, I'm dead already. So luckily they didn't kill this elite. So I'm able to possess this elite here and get some real good damage there. I misbooked there, unfortunately. But 2 hits, that's all I'm able to do with a basic. And you should never block your hunter. Like, to be honest, they should have won this. And the only reason they didn't win it was because they were blocking their hunter's shots. Like, I would have lost this for sure. Even with the leader Ash dead, I would have lost this. But see, the Cheryl is blocking the hunter's damage. You're not going to be able to do a lot of damage as Cheryl. You need to just focus on healing and focus on using like ranged weapons with Cheryl. That way you're not blocking the hunter and you're able to do damage, a little bit of damage as well. So now that she's not blocking, she's really doing a help to her team. But now she's blocking again. I dodge backwards. Once again, she blocked the hunter there. Because I would have been dead for sure. So the only reason they lost that was because they kept blocking the hunter's shots. Because I would have lost that for sure. And if they had a Ruby instead, or any other leader, they would have won. For sure, they would have won. So thanks for watching the video. And I know this was a long one, but this kind of talks about the state of Demon. Thanks for watching.